It's a time for pick it from China. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. In today's video, we are going to take a close look at the Embernic RG ARC-D. And the Embernic is a company that releases way too many handhelds nowadays. However, this was also a very strange situation. We have two different colors, the gray and the black. However, when it comes to this particular model, it was like a dual boot device, meaning that we can use the Android functionality, but also can use it like a game system. And man, holding this device, it has like a beautiful way to it. And one of the things that I love, particularly when it comes to this color, this is giving me some Sega Genesis vibes. And this can be like a modern Sega Nomad, absolutely, only it can play way more. Having all kinds of new tech, including HDMI out, so you can use this thing as a game system, but also as an handheld. But when it comes to the form factor, this thing is just one of my favorite handhelds at the moment. This simply to do, you can just see over here that this thing has a grip to it. And just holding it in my hand, it feels so comfortable. And the D-pad, oh man, this thing is absolutely like a D-pad biggest like dream when it comes to weight, feel and how it plays. One of the reasons also give me this Sega vibe is just the way how they configure it with the great floating D-pad. And the feel of the floating D-pad, and you will hate it or you will love it, but I can tell you, for me, this is just love at first sight when it comes to the way how it feels, but also how it plays in response. And also when it comes to the X, Y, Z and the ABC buttons, this is just some Sega vibe going on over here. The configuration, just the two different colors, but also the form factor and the touch itself. So where you may be going to be loving it like me, or you're going to be hating it, simply because we do have different kind of button styles. Where this has like a way longer, let's say, not like travel, but the shaft itself or the size button is smaller and it is longer. So it will give you like an overall other different experience. At the bottom we see the configuration having two SD cards, and that's nothing to do with the dual boot. This is just one for storage and the other one is going to be for the firmware itself and the headphone checkout. And with this particular version, the reset button is over there. And we're going to be needing something of a, let's say, needle bar, like a paper clip, that we're going to be pushing it in if you need to reset the device itself. It comes implemented with shoulder buttons and the trigger buttons, or are they actually trigger buttons? They're not really like analog trigger buttons, they're just membrane, but the size is absolutely great with a nice curve on top, so when you're holding it, it will make it even more comfortable. But if you're going to be holding the F button and the power on and off, you will get the Embernic logo, and then it will boot up into, yep, the Android. And this is the part I don't know if I can even recommend something like this. So where it's absolutely cool that we have Android functionality, yeah, is this something we're going to be needing? So you can just see that all of the emulators are pre-installed on this device, and we can just set everything up and play your games like that. However, when you're going to be looking through the list, there is no Play Store. So if you maybe have an update for having a Play Store, we can add the games and play games like Street of Rage 4 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles through the Android app. Oh, and you need to have Netflix too. So, but this is a function, it's kind of cool. It has a touchscreen, but is this something I'm personally waiting for? No, not really. So let's reboot it and let's get into the normal launcher. So let's restart it and let's boot up the normal way. So when you're looking at the launcher itself, it is not like something of a very fancy situation. So we do have over here the different emulators, and we actually have the two emulator pages. We're having emulator over here and we're having the retro arc, and having all kinds of different emulators. So let's start with the emulator folder itself, having Sega Saturn, PlayStation Portable, but with PlayStation Portable and 64, it's going to be a hit or miss, and we do have some games that will not play perfectly. However, if you're going to be looking in the RetroArch, we're having even more options, where we sometimes have like double options with both of the, let's say, folders. But I think out of the box, this thing has so much that you can actually play, and it's just freaking awesome. However, let's do a little bit of a deep dive into it, and not to deep dive into, let's say, the 8-bit, 16-bit stuff, because that will run just fine on here. And of course, we're having the favorite list that we can actually make for yourself. Super easy and super convenient. The recent list that we have played. And then we're having the apps, and the apps, there's nothing really, let's say, interesting in here, besides having the setup over here, the set the key map, but most of the time you don't need to mess around with that too much. And yeah, and that is one of the things that I love about this device. Not only that it's comfortable, but just the easy way how the menu will look. So let's start off with some basic gaming to showcase how it actually works. And yeah, just see and have some fun. So playing it through RetroArch, if you're going to be using the F button over here, it will go into the menu, and here we can make a quick load, quick save, or go out of the menu and go back to the main menu. But if you're going to be looking into, let's say, some other emulators like Sega Saturn, pressing the F, it will not work or doesn't do anything. So that is one of the things that I find a little bit of a messy when it comes to this device itself. But let's start off with some crazy gaming with the Street Fighter, the movie game. Oh man, I don't know what to think about this game. You do have the option to get into the menu, as you can see over here, pressing the select button, where we can exit the game if you want to, or just restart, reset, and all kinds of cool things. But it's just a different way how you're going to be exiting the system itself. But let's see how it will play with some Sega Saturn. In here we will find the problem, maybe like with N64, that we have like overall mixed performance. But out of the box with the Street Fighter games, it works perfectly, and the D-pad is just amazing. I can do all my moves without any problem whatsoever. Move on to the Atomic Wave with some Demolish Fist. I always find this freaking emulator goes like twice as loud as like all the other ones. I think it's my biggest complaint ever. I know if you're going to be playing Dead or Alive 2, it is highly possible that we have some overall, let's say, performance issues, because it is such a difficult game to emulate on a device like this. But this game seems to be working just fine. And here it is so important that you have a good D-pad. But so far everything seems to be working fine, and the overall emulation performance is great with some of the games. But let's get into some Sega Dreamcast gaming with Revolt. Man, I've played this game so much. Oh man, I love RC cars, it's so cool. But the emulation performance of Sega Dreamcast is quite good on this device. So where this thing looks like a Sega handheld, we can just actually play Sega Saturn and Dreamcast at this point. Of course, also some Genesis and other cool stuff. So how awesome is it to have like a multi-emulated device like this. A beautiful display, and an amazing overall emulation performance on many different devices. Okay, still wanted to see if PlayStation Portable runs, but however, when it comes to the, let's say, emulator, you can just see that we do have the problem with the black bars, or problem. I think it is mainly to do simply because this screen is not the perfect overall resolution. But how with the emulation power? Tekken 5 is not a game that's going to be like super, let's say, demanding, but it can have some hiccups. God of War, one of those like say more demanding games, will not be like running great on this. Ah, see, there we have like the starter. We have no analog stick, just a D-pad, but I really love it. So performance wise, you can actually play some PlayStation Portable games on there, so that is just amazing. But with PlayStation Portable, we can do some setting up, pressing the F button on top. We're in the settings over here. In the settings, we can go into the settings menu and can mess around with it if you want to. We still have like frame skip set to off, so that is quite interesting. So we do reach into, let's say, a certain level of handhelds for a lower price range, that we do have option for quite overall PlayStation Portable good emulation and without frame skip. But of course, if you just want to play some old school Sega games like I do, yeah, this is just one of those better overall experiences. Holding myself this amazing handheld in my hand with the right D-pad, this is just the way how an experience those old school games. We've reached the point that emulation performance on the old school games are so great. At this moment I do have this wheeled filter over it with a CRT idea, but we can just all shut it off in RetroArch if you want to. And also the audio, man, I can really enjoy it. There we go. The audio quality is just amazing with the two front-facing speakers. But if you want to play some PlayStation 1 games, this will run perfectly on a device like this. We live in an amazing time if you think about it, having so many devices, including this one that runs like the freaking PlayStation games without any problem. Having a beautiful IPS panel, great audio with this one. But we don't have an analog stick, so we need to take consideration some games maybe will not be playable at all. But what I find really important at this, let's say, moment is that we're having good analog and, let's say, trigger buttons. Because I did notice with, let's say, reviews of controllers that I had issues with playing actually this game. Another feature that is super important if you're going to be playing this, the D-pad. Making the U-turn is so easy on this. Navigate through the stage. We're also going to be using acceleration at this point. Got him. Still got 2 homing missiles. Come on, there we go. Ooh, he's coming. Oh! There we go. Let's freeze the bastard. Let's blow him up. Oh man, it's such a blast to the past. Whoa! Oh yeah, I already got him. Oh yeah. The RG Arc D is a dual system. For me, I'm not going to be using it at all. So maybe it's way easier to just get yourself the S model with a single firmware. And also depending what kind of games you want to play, it's just depending what kind of device you should pick up. If you want to tinker with Android, you can just do that. But for me, this front-facing interface with Linux, I'd say it's going to be so much easier to use and, let's say, play some old school games. I love this device for what it is, the form factor, the audio quality. At this point, for me, there was actually nothing to complain. Thank you all for watching, and it will be great to see you in the next video.